guess you just muted me. All right. Let's see. How is everybody? This is the live. This is very live. And obviously you people who are on right now, and I can't tell. How can I tell how many people are on? I think Molly needs to text that to me. I can't really tell, but obviously you people are gluttons. Absolutely glutton, because you want to hear about the what happens in a multifamily recession. But before I get started, folks, it's out. My book, How to Own 1,000 Apartments in 5 Years. And if you want to, hello, Francis. Everybody say hello in the chat box. If you want to get your copy, I'll send you an autograph copy. It's going to be on back order pretty soon. I just got them. They're already going to be on back order. If you want to get your copy, it's a pretty fun read. It's you can go to multifamilyos.com, schedule a time with my staff, and we'll get you one of these. Hello, Vincent. All right, so y'all want to know about the good, the bad, and the ugly of a multifamily recession. What happens? Okay, so I've obviously been in this business now about 20 years. It's amazing how fast it's gone. Done very, very well. I've owned over $30 million in multifamily property, sold it, bought it, lost it, kept it, been through the ringer, been through the good times and bad times. I've got some great investments right now. A lot of my investments. Hey, Jake, good to see you, man. A lot of my properties are now I'm getting involved because I really love this. Is the let me see. Okay, I've been getting involved in the hotel conversions. I really like that. I'm working with one of my students, Dave Peters. We're going to be doing a whole training on how to convert a hotel to an apartment building. He is the expert in the country on it. He's appeared on CNBC. It's great to to partner with them on it. And then we're also going to do some training for people on how to do it. Yeah, that's Rick. Actually, you want to talk about affordable housing? We just purchased a hotel that we're converting to apartments, all fully renovated, all in, fully renovated, $39,000 a door, and they're beautiful. So if you can buy a hotel that can be converted to apartments at $39,000 a door, and you're renting them at one studio rates, one bedroom rates, some of them are big enough to be two bedrooms, depends on what kind of hotels you buy. You can't help but win when you look at what the rents are in that marketplace. You just figure your expense ratio, what the cap rate is for a multifamily property, and you buy them at $39,000 a door. You can't help but win. So that's a great strategy, and we're going to teach people more about that as we go on. All right. So let me give you some history here. So I got started back about 2004, 2005, starting to buy properties. Market was starting to take off, doing very well. It was easy to raise money, but not only was it easy to raise money, it was also easy to get a mortgage. If you could fog a mirror, you could get a multifamily mortgage. All right. So you watch the movie The Big Short, one of my most favorite movies. You watch that movie, and you hear about I loved that scene. My most favorite scene, and everybody knows what my most favorite scene is. It's the one with where Steve Carell is in the strip club talking to the stripper who owns 6 homes, and he's amazed that this woman owns 6 homes. Well, you know what? It was like that in multifamily as well. If you could fog a mirror, you got a loan. That's since changed. I'll talk about that in just a moment. So I bought all different ways, all different types, all over the country. I was killing it. I was doing great. I was buying, some were Fannie Mae loans. Some of them were local lender loans. I did some no money down. I did some with master lease options. I did. So I was out there. I was doing everything I could to to build my portfolio. And there was one deal, and I'm going to keep coming back to this deal, so I'll give you the details on this particular deal. It was in Lexington, Kentucky. It was 222 unit apartment building, and it was a $7.5 million acquisition. We went out and raised, oh boy, what do we have to raise? Well, about 2 million, about $2.5 million we raised. I think we raised a little bit more because we wanted to pad our pockets. We got a 3% acquisition fee on that, so you can imagine closing was a very good day. And I'll tell you something, folks. That's an issue that I've seen happen over and over again. I'm going to make a note of that because I want to make sure I come back to that particular issue. Fees. All right, let me make sure that I come back to that topic because I think that's important to discuss. So we had the deal under contract. We had gone through the raise. Everything was going along fine. And a month before the closing, Fannie and Freddie filed for bankruptcy, and everything ended. The whole world changed. It was like our 9/11 for multifamily investors. At that point, we'd already received commitment for the loan. We had put down, I think, about $17,000 for third-party reports. And we got the call that Key Bank, that was who it was, Key Bank was getting out of the multifamily business. Overnight, instantaneously, we're done. And we're panicking because we have about $75,000. Yeah, $75,000, 1%. $75,000 was hard. And oh boy, that's a lot of money back in 2000. What was 8 or 9, 7, 8 or 9? I can't remember the exact year. It might have been 8. Somebody could type in, when did Fannie and Freddie go? What year did Fannie and Freddie go bankrupt? And they we scrambled. We got a phone call from our mortgage broker, who was a great guy, did a fantastic job, and we went and scrambled, and he found us another lender who would close, I think, about a couple weeks late. So we didn't get in trouble with the seller. The seller was understanding, and we found out later the reason why they were understanding is they were under contract with somebody else, and their money had gone hard, so they were scrambling as much as we were. And they were trying to do a 1031 exchange with our deal, with our funds, and so the company that we ended up going with was Walker and Dunlop, who I can tell you, of all the deals I've done, I just think Walker and Dunlop is one of the best companies out there. They were just such class acts. The thing, that's one thing, a little off the beaten track here, but when you talk about DUS lenders, a delegated underwriter and servicer, essentially what Fannie Mae does is they say, hey, we've got all this money and we need to put it on the street, so we're gonna delegate certain people to put our money on the street, and you guys can go out there and create the products and create the systems and do it your own way. We're not going to tell you how to do it. We're just going to make sure you follow certain criteria. So every company that gets bestowed this great franchise from Fannie Mae can go out there and design the product the way that they want. And you learn this over time when you start dealing with different DUS lenders. And you get some DUS lenders that are just they treat you like you're the enemy. And then you get some DUS lenders that are absolutely fantastic. I know I've heard good things about Arbor. One of my clients puts all his business with Arbor and says they're fantastic and good for them. Walker and Dunlop, Willie Walker is the guy who started that, and I really like them. They've got some great podcasts. I listen to their podcasts all the time about what's going on in this marketplace. So that is that. So we picked up Walker and Dunlop. They stepped up to the plate. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. You talk about the reserve replacement. About every single month, you set some of your pay, some of your mortgage payment goes towards the reserve replacement, and that money gets set aside for you to be able to use for capital expenditures on the property, right? Okay, sounds good, right? That's what it sounds like at the closing table. But there are different companies as to what you have to do, what hoops you have to jump through to get that money back. We work with one company that was atrocious. They allowed you to file for that reserve replacement once, 4 times a year, not quarters, 4 times a year. And if you submit your receipts, if they disapprove any of the receipts, tough luck. Your check goes back to them net of those disapproved receipts, and you thought you were getting all this money on reserve replacement, but they decided, no, we're only going to pay you back this amount of your money. Just games, stupid games that people played. Walker and Dunlop, they weren't that way at all. They worked with you. If you didn't have enough reserve replacement that month because the pipe burst and you had to get it fixed, they would front you the money and get it back later. They were awesome. They were absolutely awesome. And they stepped up the table and they did the deal for us in Lexington. And now we own this property. And at the same time, I had other properties that I owned, and the notes came due during the next 5 to 7 years, and we paid the mortgages every single month. There was always enough money to pay the mortgages. We ran the properties correctly. We ran them well. So in case you're wondering if there was any bad boy provisions that could have been triggered that would have turned our non-recourse Fannie Mae loans into recourse, not a chance. We worked with our banks. We spoke to our banks every single month, which is a big difference between commercial lending and residential lending. Residential lending, you're just a number. The due on sale clause. Who cares? Just do a subject to on that loan and let the other guy keep paying the mortgage. In commercial lending, it's nothing like that. You have a relationship with your banker. And that's the way it was with all of our lenders on all of our properties. Over the next 5 to 7 years, 5 years, the values of the properties tanked. Like 2 months after we bought that property, you could start to see the cap rate start to go up. Interest rates started going up, exactly what is happening right now. And by the time our loans came due, let's talk about the Lexington property. By the time that property came due, the loan came due, we would have had to come up with an additional $1 million from our investors just to be able to refinance that loan and get out based upon the value. That's how bad it was from where we bought it to where it ended up. And on some of the local, on the Fannie Mae, the government sponsored entities, you just rode that wave as long as you could. And then reckoning day occurred. For those properties where we had a small local bank as our financer, it worked differently. Okay, so just understand this. What happened is the banks, the bank that we were using for one of our loans was in Southern Michigan. Michigan got smacked back during that last recession. We all know that. The banks took it in the behind like you can't imagine. And so the bank, what do they call the bank examiners? Because it was a state-run bank, not federal, state-run bank. The bank examiners would come in and look at those loans and say, hey, you need to have a certain amount of collateral to support that loan. And because the multifamily loans or the multifamily properties had dropped in value, they came to us looking for more collateral. We were able to write a check for $250,000 to get in their good graces. Okay. But the thing is, and just remember this, when you get that call from the bank and they are wondering, hey, we need to have an appraisal done of your property, you look at them and you're like, who's going to pay for the appraisal? And they said, you are. Read your contract. And so that's another $10,000-$15,000 that you can't spend on your property, can't give to your examiners. Hello, Explorer Link. That's $10,000-$15,000. It comes out of your pocket because that's how it works with a bank. You pay that money, you give the appraisal to the bank, and the bank says, guess what? You need to put up some more money. And we had to put up another $250,000 because our value had dropped by $1 million. And they had to keep that 75% LTV. Ouch. Ouch. So we kept it. And we kept that property going. Then reckoning day comes. And remember, the GSE didn't ask for any more collateral. They're in it. They're just like, hey, we're just going to ride this wave to the very end. The local lender, because they have a bank examiner, they have to maintain a certain level of collateral on their books. So they came and asked for more cash. We had a cash call from our lender. Okay. And that's what happens. Sometimes you might have to go back to your investors and get a cash call. That's how it happens. Everything in multifamily is so expensive. And Explorer, just stick around. I got some stories to tell you. So the day of reckoning comes. We sit down with the government-sponsored entity, Fannie Mae, Walker and Dunlop. And they say, okay, what's your plan? You owe us $6.1 million. We need you to refinance it out or, pay us the money. Like the property's worth like $5 million. So what are we going to do? And I said, can you just give us more time? No, we don't give people more time. Well, could we rewrite the note? No, this is a commercial mortgage-backed security. There's no note to rewrite. We just take the property. No, you can't take the property. We've worked so hard. We've always paid our mortgage. We've done everything right. No, that's not how this works. It's no big deal. No hard feelings. And we're no personal recourse. We're just going to take the property back. Sign here. And that's what happens. You kill yourself, you raise all that money, you work hard for 5 years, and it doesn't come back in value. You just give the keys back to the bank and turn it over to them. And that's why nowadays, this is what you should be looking for. And I'll tell you the final punchline in a moment. But what you should be doing, and this is what I have all of my clients doing and using through our CRM, is you go to the CoStar. We put all this out there. Any loans, special servicers, look for websites for special servicers. They are taking back these properties. The properties are in what's called maturity default. Remember that term, maturity default. The loan has matured, and now the borrower has defaulted because they can't pay back the loan. That's what happens when the balloon comes due and you don't have the money for the balloon. It's a maturity default, and you just give the deal back to the bank. You as a new investor, Mr. Explorer Link, you can go out there and find those types of deals. If you don't want to work on the CMBS level, you can go down to local lenders, start calling their distressed asset department. I'm actually going to a conference in Miami next month for distressed asset officers of lenders. I'm going to go sit in there and find out how they think and what they are looking to do to work with investors like me and let us use their properties. Let us take back their properties. In your customer relationship management tool, if you're in the MultifamilyOS program, we've listed all the banks and all the credit unions in the country. You can start sourcing them. You can start sorting them based upon where you want to look, and you can start dialing for dollars, or you can have your VA do it, and we provide the VA. So these are things you need to start doing right now. So now that's what happened with the government-sponsored entity during that last crash. Let me tell you what happened with the local lenders. I'll never forget it. I love this story because it's so true. Is I sat down with the vice president of the bank in a diner on some long stretch of country road in Michigan. And we ordered French fries, and they gave us an entire plate of French fries. I'll never forget, they were great fries. And the guy poured ketchup all on the plate, and we just sat there and figured out a solution to my maturity default. They knew us, they liked the way we ran the property, they knew they couldn't do any better, and they wanted to keep working with us. And that is all because we maintained a relationship with our lender throughout the whole time. When your phone rings and it's your bank, answer your phone. When your phone rings and it's one of your investors, answer your phone. So we were able to sit there and figure. The guy's name was Mike. I can't remember his last name. I bet you my wife would remember his last name. Mike. No, okay. I just thought it popped into my head, but that's wrong. That's a different banker named Mike. We sat there and we figured out, and we did a little bit of what's called extend and pretend. Okay, so they extended the note, the maturity date of the note, so we could get more time. Thank you very much. They didn't have to do that, but they didn't want to take this back in foreclosure. You see, a GSE, a CMBS loan, one of those DUS lenders, they don't do foreclosure. They just take the property back. Goes to a special servicer. With us, what we did was we worked with the local lender to fend off foreclosure by doing an extend and pretend, but also they split the note up into an A note and a B note. Remember that term. You're going to hear that a lot coming up. You do an A-B note. A is the primary note that equals 80% or whatever the LTV is that the bank uses, 75% LTV. That's your A note. And then the B note is from that 75% level up to what you owe, and they carve it off, and it becomes a second side note. So when the bank examiner comes in, he looks at the books. Oh, this is a conforming note. This is a conforming loan. That's good. Oh, what do you have over here? Oh, that's just something else. Oh, okay, well, we won't deal with that. That's what they did. And that's how we got to keep our properties. And it was great. It was fantastic. And we maintained a good, we sold the property a few years later, made a few bucks, happy to say. But that's what happens in these situations. Now, let me give you some examples. And if you got any questions, go ahead and start typing them in. I see what's going to happen now is in certain of these markets that were so stinking hot over the last 2 to 3 years, the Phoenixes, the Miamis, the Austins, the Dallas I'd put in there too. Boulder, Colorado was hot. I know that Boise, Idaho was stupid, but I don't have any clients doing deals up there in Boise. Florida, Miami, crazy numbers. You're starting to see these properties getting into trouble. They're getting into trouble first with the vacancy. Their vacancy starts to go up. You're seeing these rents that everybody thought the rents would keep going up 20% per year. It doesn't work that way. Sooner or later, these people just the next tenant doesn't have enough money to keep paying the next investor group their 9% preferred return. Just like everybody, oh, we're going to buy it. Yeah, we're going to give a 9% preferred return. Okay, we sold it. Now the next one's, oh, we got a 9% preferred return. It's sooner or later, you're just run out of money. And we're seeing that happen now with a lot of these very hot markets in the last couple of years. That's going to start to happen first. So now they're going to start coming down in occupancy, in rental rates. The interest rates are going up. So the new buyers won't pay as much because they still need to get their 9% preferred return to their group of investors. And if your numbers aren't there, if your NOI is not there, they're not going to pay that because their cost of money is very high. So now it's a perfect balance. It's a perfect ballet. Multifamily economics and multifamily numbers just make total sense. When you squeeze over here, it's going to cause a balloon over there. And that's exactly what's going on right now. So we're going to start to see a lot of these properties, especially the smaller ones first, because those are the ones where the local lenders will do a cash call. And as these bridge loans start coming due, the 2 to 3 year bridge loans, because people thought they would just do a value add and everything was going to be great, you're going to start to see those come back. And then you're going to start to see the GSEs that were in the 5-year term and the 7-year term. Then those are going to start coming, and they just yank those back. They don't even work with you. They just stick them with a special servicer, and you can go find them on auction.com or 10x.com, whatever it's called now. So that's what's going to happen in our marketplace. Now, the thing that really bugged me over some of these deals, I mean, there was stupid money being thrown into these deals because the prices were ridiculous. Those of us that have been around long enough knew it was going to happen, knew it was coming, but people still kept throwing their money in, and you had to wonder why. You had all these syndicator groups. Everybody went to somebody's boot camp and came home a syndicator. And they started putting all their friends and family on their mailing list, and they started raising money. And like, we're all going to keep a cut of this. When I was raising money, the SEC didn't allow that. I'm selling a security without a license. For some reason, the SEC came along and said, "That's all right. Go ahead. Just don't do it. Don't do this, and you can get away with it." Let me tell you, those people, I can almost guarantee you that when this market crashes and people start losing money and it goes to hell in a handbasket, like it might in certain markets, then the SEC will get involved and say, "Oh, you can't do this anymore." They do it every time, every single time. But one of the reasons why people do it is the worst reason why you should be investing. They do it not because the property is a good investment. They do it for the acquisition fee. Remember that 3% acquisition fee, 210,000 or whatever it was that we got back then? That was manna from heaven. What a great payday. How many of you would like to walk home with a check for $210,000 in one day? Nice job if you can get it. But there are people doing those types of transactions just for those big paydays, not because it's a good investment. Folks, that's not an investor. That's a broker. And those people should not be out there raising money. Those people are just collecting their fees on transactions. They're not collecting their money because it's a good investment. And those people who did those deals just to get that transactional fee, shame on you. And you're going to learn your lesson with some of these hard lessons to learn coming up for these people. Yeah, sounds good to me. Sounds good to me, Explorer. Yeah, it sounded good to me too when I was doing it. Okay, so let's take a look at punchline. Here's the punchline. This hurt. I was standing right here, and I was on Cornelius Cannon's Shark Pool program, and it had these young buck syndicators, and they were trying to raise money for a deal they were doing in North Carolina. And they said, yes, well, we already have a portfolio in Raleigh and then in Lexington, Kentucky. And my ears perked up. Lexington. Oh, I used to own property in Lexington. And they start putting their pictures of their properties up on the windows, and all of a sudden, there's my property. Their property in Lexington was that property that I gave back to the bank back in 2015 or whenever it was. I said, oh, geez. And then I listened to the guy talk. He's like, well, I'm on the trading desk for HUD, and there's no way interest rates are going to go up or go that high. So we've conservatively underwritten this deal. And I'm listening like, yeah, sure, kid. Sure. And so finally, when it was my turn to talk, I said, hey, can you put that picture back up there, that Lexington, Kentucky property? So they put it up there, and I said, let me tell you a story. And I said, once I owned a property in Lexington, Kentucky, a 222 unit property. And as soon as I said that number, you saw both of their eyes go wide, and they knew there's only one 222 unit property in Lexington, Kentucky. And the guy said, you own that property? I said, yep, I owned it. And let me tell you what happened. The interest rates went up, and everything else went down. And while I was on the call with him, I had access to CoStar, and I turned over here, and I got my laptop going over here, and I looked at it, and I said, there's the sale history of this property. And sure enough, there was my company's acquisition, 2008, 2009, whichever it was, 7.5 million. At the end of the term, it went back to the lender. It had listed the special servicer. It went back to the special servicer for 6.1, something like that, like virtually the note price. A year later, they sold that property to an individual. Wasn't an LLC, it wasn't a company. The guy took it personally for $3 million. And about 3 or 4 years later, he sold it to these guys for $7.5 million. $4.5 million that individual made off of my property that I lost. Don't tell me that now is not a good time to be buying real estate. Warren Buffett is, and you should be too. And that, my friends, is the rest of the story. All right, let me see what these notes are up here. Let me see what people are saying. Hello, hi Charles, Charlie. Hello, how to find affordable apartments right now. Hey Rick, I'm not a realtor. I'm not a leasing agent. I'm not. If you're looking for an apartment, or are you looking for an apartment building? Hello, everyone. Got here a bit late. Waiting for the stories. I hope I did not disappoint, Alandrea. Maturity default. Yep. Yeah, that would be interesting in that room. Okay, let me see. How to find apartments you can afford. Everything I see is $120,000 a door and up. I'm in Texas, and I'm looking outside of Texas. Still seem to be expensive. Hey, Rick, $120K a door. Let me tell you something. Is that how I do it? Oh, Molly's okay. Molly, keep that count coming. Rick, $120,000 door is cheap. I mean, you were looking at some of these deals, and we were joking. And Dave Peters and Jillian Sidoti and I, we chat all the time, and we're laughing at some of these $400,000 a door in Phoenix, Arizona. Are you kidding me? That just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You just do the math on that one. That's like a 2 cap. So, but people were stupid, and people had a lot of money, and they were looking for places to park it. Well, they parked it, and they're going to lose it. So $120,000 door is not expensive, Rick. But here's the point, Rick. You got to understand, you can't just go by the price per door. You're not buying a single family house. We don't care about the price per door. Theoretically, of course, we always kind of look at that number, but we just care about the income that this property is going to generate. We're buying cash flow. That's really what we're buying. We're not buying real estate. We're buying cash flow. You know, I tell the story. I was on one of these online webinars, online sale. You know, the whole big dog and pony, one of those 3-day things. And the woman had asked me, what's a cap rate? And the first time she asked me, she totally caught me flat-footed. I didn't know how to describe it. I wasn't expecting the question, and I'm the expert, and I know what a cap rate is. I know exactly how to use a cap rate, and I just couldn't. I came off sounding like it was my first day on the job. And a year goes by. She asked me back on the call, and I said, "Listen, I just have to start off by telling you what a cap rate is, giving you the definition of a cap rate." And she said, go ahead. You get an opportunity to redeem yourself from last year. I said, thank you very much. And I said, listen, the cap rate is a measure of effort, and that's how we determine the value of a property. And then we use the cap rate. Always consider the cap rate as nothing more than a measure of effort on a property. Let's say you have 2 properties right next door to each other. One was born yesterday, and the other one was born 50 years ago. Now, the property that was born, the thing that these 2 properties have in common is they both generate $1 of net operating income. So which property is more valuable? If all we're doing is buying cash flow, which property is more valuable? Well, you would think if all we were doing was buying cash flow, these properties, one brand new, one 50 years old, they would be worth the exact same thing. And the answer is no, they're not, because I'm not giving you enough information. What you need to take into consideration is how much effort did it take to make that $1. And we all know a property that was built yesterday, everybody wants to move in. Your occupancy is through the roof. Everybody pays top dollar on the rents. The repairs and maintenance, no problem. Your insurance rate is very low because nothing ever breaks in that property, and you've got the best sprinkler systems built in. Everything is low. The effort it takes to make that $1 is very low. But the 50-year-old property takes a lot more effort. Everything is breaking on that property. Repairs and maintenance through the roof. You got to hire more people just to fix all the R&M, and that's going to cost you more in the payroll. Everything is through the roof. It takes more effort, a higher grade of effort to make that same $1. So with a cap rate, the lower the cap rate, the less effort. The higher the cap rate, the more effort. And therefore, that's how we value that $1, and that's how we value that asset that generates that $1. So that's when you look at it, Rick, you can't just look at the per unit cost. We have to look at all those other factors as well. Okay. All right. Let me see. Let me see if I can do this. If I'm the guy that can do this. Oh, cool. I didn't realize. I'm learning this new StreamYard thing. What are your 3 criteria to evaluate a great deal in the current market environment? Okay, current market environment. Okay, first off, you got to take into consideration first off, I'm not going to give you three massive effort, great points, because what you really have to take into consideration is what type of asset are you looking to buy? Are you looking for a value add? Are you looking for a cash flowing asset? I mean, that really has a big deal to play in whether it's a great deal for you. Okay, but some of the things that you want to take into consideration is first the market. You want to understand the market that you're getting into. This is very important, especially now, because there are going to be some horror stories in this country over the next 3 years or so. And different markets are going to have more of a horror story than other markets. Some markets are going to be fine and they're going to skate on through because they didn't have a lot of developer money going into it during the heyday, and they also investor dollars and being overbuilt. So if the developers overbuilt, or there was a lot of outside investor money coming into that marketplace, those are the markets that are going to crash the hardest. Okay, because think about it. When those investors are not getting the returns that they want, they cut bait and they move out of that market, and that's when you're going to start to have a glut on the market of our product. Okay, and the other thing too are those places that had a lot of development. They've overbuilt, and they don't have the customers now to sell their units to, and now there's going to be a fire sale. So those particular areas are the things you want to stay away from. You want to look at those other areas that are more stable, that have the right economics and are going to maintain their rents. They didn't overbuild. They've got good, solid base of population that's not going to flee as soon as things change. So you got your Austins and your Dallas and your Phoenix. Stay away. You've got. I mean, I just saw a report the other day. Hartford, Connecticut is going to skate through this upcoming market correction. I can't even. That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. New York City was another one. They said. Oh man, I'm trying to remember some of the other markets, and I'm not going to be able to. But those are the areas. So you want to look in those. Stay away from those markets that had a lot of development dollars come in and a lot of outside investor dollars come in. And the other things you want to use to evaluate a great deal is obviously loss to lease. But be careful because rents are coming down, so you got to be careful. But if you're looking to buy a property and you can see that there's a huge upside in the movement of rents, definitely get in to see those. That happens many times on those smaller properties, those mom and pop owned properties, the people that don't really watch what the market's doing. They just want a property that's going to be okay, that nobody's going to be bothering them. The tenants just, they keep paying the rent on time. The landlord just accepts that as I'm not looking to rock the boat. Those types of assets are all, and the best way to find those is direct mail to the owners in that marketplace. That's what our CRM does. Is when you choose your market and you choose the type of asset you want, we load up your CRM with owners of that type, and then we just start direct mailing to them. All we need is one owner to say yes in the next 12 months, and you are off to the races. You are in business. Hey, I'm going to do, for those people that came late, don't forget, my new book is out, How to Own 1,000 Apartments in 5 Years. Go to multifamilyos.com, schedule a call, speak to somebody on my staff, and that's how you get your book. Okay, so Francis, hopefully that answered it for you. Let me see. What do we have here? Sounds good to me. This is the first time I've caught you live. You do this every week. I hope I get the link for the next one. Yes, this is a new thing in 2023. I'm really trying to get out there and talk to more and more people. I love this topic. I love multifamily. It's what I do. You can find out more about me at multifamilyinvestingacademy.com. And I'm going to be talking. I think one of the things I'm going to be probably next week, I'll be focusing on the markets and talking about what markets are good, what markets to stay away from, and those types of, and how you can find the deals in those marketplaces. All right. Thank you, Alondria. I'm going to say it right. I'm going to say it wrong many times, but I'm going to get it right eventually. CoStar access, nice, a bit rich for my blood. Yeah, but the thing is, Alondria, all of my students have access to CoStar. We get you all the information you need a property. We pull it down for you. So all of my students have access to CoStar. And we're actually looking at adding another database to our mix so that we can make sure that we give our students as much market information as possible so that they can access all the owners that own property in their marketplace, and they can go after them ahead of all the other investors. That's the name of the game here. All right, let me see what is next. Wow. Okay, let me see. Building. Let me see. Hi, Charlie. Hello, Chad. Jake. Hey, Jake, can you send me a link to the conference you mentioned? Oh, hey, listen, Jake, you got my email, you got my text. Send me a message. Or Molly, my assistant is on the call here. Molly, Jake is one of my clients, and make sure that he gets a link to the Miami conference that's coming up in February 13th, 12th and 13th, I think it is, in Miami at the Biltmore Hotel. And I am going to be there. And then I'm going to Fort Lauderdale to check out the site for our conference, Multifamily Investing Academy and Multifamily OS. We're having a conference June 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. 1st and 2nd are for my clients. Jake, you'll be getting an update on that. That's going to be a mastermind group for all my clients. There'll be a great speaker coming to do a workshop for us. And the 3rd and 4th is going to be a conference open to the public where we're going to be teaching the 3 levels of multifamily ownership, which is acquisition management, asset management, and property management. And we're going to teach you how to build out those 3 components so you can be successful in your multifamily real estate business. I did a webinar last night. If anybody wanted to see it or wants to get a link, just make sure you sign up. Get on my mailing list because we're going to send out the replay pretty soon. It was really good. I thought it was pretty good. It was good that I kept it under an hour, which shocked the daylights out of my assistant Deb. Okay, let's see. Good pronunciation. Oh, good, Alondria. Okay, thank you. Let's see. I'm in Chicago walking through the deals, but numbers don't make sense. Yeah, Chan. Nothing makes sense in Chicago, especially the government. When you are looking for a place or you're looking to do business in a city where more than 50% of your tax dollars goes to someone that no longer works there, just get out. Don't walk, run. Don't look in Chicago. Now, having said that, Chan, I'm actually invested. I bought into one of my students' deals in Gary, Indiana. Numbers are fantastic. Value add proposition. People are leaving Chicago, moving to northern Indiana in droves. That's a good place to be looking. I have another client that is in this pretty much the same area in Indiana. Get out of Chicago. Just get out. Look over where there are deals. I can't help you, Chan, in Chicago. Let's see. Yeah, $200,000 a door. Alondria, that's like average. That's like more. I think $200,000 in certain of these markets is still low. So I don't know where Rick is seeing $120,000 a door. That's crazy. All right. Can I tag along with you to Miami? Yeah, come on, Ray. Well, they are strict. This particular people, they do keep it in. But let's have dinner. Let's have dinner together, Ray. Listen, if any of my clients are in the Miami area when I'm down there, we're having dinner, okay? And I buy. All right. Let me see. Rick Smith, what is the equation? What was the question, Rick? And then I can hopefully help you with the equation. I'm not quite sure what the equation was. Oh yeah, go every Thursday at 4. Click here to opt in for. Oh, good. Thank you very much. There you can get stuff. You can get some of my freebies. You can keep in touch with me when my conference comes out. You can all sign up there. That would be great. Love to see you all. Let's see. I like that we aren't buying real estate. We're buying cash. That's right. You know, I always tell a story about two properties right next to each other. They're identical in every way. One's got 100 units. The other one's got 100 units. They were built the exact same time. The fact that they're across the street from each other means nothing in the sense of the market or the area. They are identical. But one property has 100% occupancy. and the other property has 0% occupancy. Which one is more valuable? Now, if you're a single family residential person, you say, well, what's the market say? If they're exactly the same, they're the same price. No, they're not. We don't care about the real estate. We care about the cash flow. And if one has zero cash flow and the other one is cash flowing like a banshee, that's the one we want. That one has more value. So just always look at it that way. We are in a business. Multifamily property is nothing more than a factory that produces a product. And that product that we produce is a lease contract. Money doesn't exchange hands until someone signs on the dotted line. And when they do, we now have a legal contract that generates cash. And that is what we're buying. That's why when you go to do the due diligence on a multifamily property, everybody's all set up. Let's find the inspector and we're going to go look at every single unit. Go look at every single unit. Who cares? What we care about is what's in the files in the office. That is the value, and that is what we're really buying. All right, so just remember that. Let's see. Chicago property tax kills the cash flow. I think Chicago kills just about everything, Chan. Still send my Lloyd. Let's see, LOI. Okay, let me see if I can get some of these. I think about the cap rate as a level of risk you're willing to tolerate for the rate of return. Yeah, that's listen, the way I described it, Alondria, any financial analyst would say, that's rather sophomoric, Mr. Dobbins. We wouldn't, the cap rate is actually, and they go into big long litany. I needed, in that particular instance, I needed to explain cap rate to a group of people who had never understood it, never seen it before, in a way that everybody could understand it. So that's why I use that. But yes, there are other ways, much more technical in definition as to what the cap rate is. But you're right, it's a measure of risk. It is definitely a measure of risk. The thing that always gets me is people always think, oh, the higher the cap rate, the better the deal. When I hear somebody like that, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. I got to train this one again. Let's see, that's happening in the DFW. They're building apartments everywhere around there. Absolutely, Rick. Get ready, buddy. And Austin was just as bad. All right, there it is. There's how to get a copy of my book. Let's see, what did I say? You said it right. Thanks. What is CoStar? Rick, have you ever heard of LoopNet? Have you ever heard of apartments.com? CoStar owns all of those places. Essentially, CoStar is an aggregator of data. They collect all the data and all the properties around the country. That's their business. And they sell it back to you. So, I pay a hefty charge every single month just to get access to CoStar. And that's how we provide the data to our students so they can be successful. Let me see. There's a tool to look up info on properties. Yeah. LoopNet is owned by CoStar. You can find some of the information on LoopNet. It doesn't go anywhere into the detail that CoStar provides. Okay, so here it is. This is the link to the Distressed Asset Conference, okay? If you don't want to write all this down, just remember impn.org, okay? That's the name of the organization that puts on these types of conferences. They have like 20 different conferences for 20 different topics. Some of them you might find very, very interesting from the business that we're in. So just remember impn.org. Okay, good. Thanks, Alondria. Let's see. What do we have here? What are the chances for the lender to request more funds / foreclosure on an apartment that was refinanced with cash out, fixed for 7 years before the rates? Oh, well, if it's fixed for 7 years, Cy, I think you're going to be okay. All right. But no, let me take that back. It depends upon who the lender was. If it's a local lender, like a state-owned bank or state-owned financial institution, you might have a problem. Become good friends with your lender. Talk to them every month. Send them the reports they require. Make sure that you get everything that you need. All right. Really, I'm not kidding you. That's the best thing you can be doing. Like when we went through that problem and we lost that property, 35 investors lost everything they put into that deal. Whenever the phone rang and it was one of those investors, we answered the phone. My wife and I always answer the phone. My other partners, they hightailed it out of there when they found out they weren't going to make any money. But my wife and I stayed in it because we were in the business, and we stayed in it and we talked to every single investor, explained them the whole situation. That is the best thing I can teach you today, is always answer your phone. And that includes with the lender. Okay. They are your biggest investor. They are your biggest investor. You need to keep them tight. I like they say I like Indy. Hey, Chan, I've seen a lot of good numbers coming out of Indy. There are some good opportunities, Indy. I had one client, Blessing. Gosh, Dave Blessing. Dave Blessing. He owns a tool belt, so he knows how to fix properties. And he would go in there and find the distressed properties, and he would buy it, renovate everything, and then run it. And he made a killing. That guy came to one of my due diligence conferences many years ago, and he and I have kept in touch over the years, and he's done incredibly well. So that's that. I like Indy, and he did all his stuff over at Indy. St. Louis. Why is this not popping up? There we go. St. Louis, Wisconsin. Yes. Okay. Thank you. I'm glad you put that clarification in there, because I was going to say St. Louis, not so much. But I do have one student that did a phenomenal deal in a tertiary market outside of St. Louis. And the guy, he's in 1 year, his valuation went up by $1 million on this one deal, about a 45 unit property. And I remember working with him, getting that deal. I said, listen, if you don't, and that guy would ask me every question. He would drive me crazy. I said, listen, if you don't buy this property, I'm going to buy this property. This one's a sweetheart deal. And sure enough, $1 million later, gosh, I could have had $1 million out of that deal. Let's see. What is your specialty as an attorney? Well, funny you should ask. All I do is this. When people ask me to describe my specialty, my law practice is strictly multifamily transactional law, but I don't represent anyone as their attorney. Okay, because I'm only licensed in Massachusetts. So when you are in my program, we use my contracts, we use my forms, but my contracts and my forms are not valid in all 50 states. There are nuances in every state that I just couldn't write one contract to cover them all. So you always need local counsel whenever you're doing a real estate deal. You just do. And I work with them if you want me to, and help you through the process. But where I come in, and what happens in, the Multifamily OS system is it's there to help you build a multifamily real estate business so you can get to 1,000 units. Okay. You don't do this on one transaction. You have to build a business. So what I teach you is how to business. So through the aspects of business, you will be assigned a consultant who works with you to make sure that you put everything together the right way. As soon as you start looking at deals and starting making offers and evaluating, that's when you contact me, because I am involved in every step of the way for your transaction. I make sure you do everything right. I keep you out of bad deals. And that's the best thing that one of my students, in 6,000 apartments, he used to own 0. And when he started with me, you listen to him talk and he'll say, Charlie, one of the best things you've ever done for me is keep me out of bad deals. And ain't that the truth? For those of you that have ever had a bad real estate deal, ain't that the truth? Wouldn't you have liked to have had somebody like me keeping you out? So, all right, folks, boy, that's the fastest hour in multifamily. That's amazing. Great questions. I'm loving this. I tell you what, why don't next week, if anybody has any topics they want me to cover, send me an email, get in touch with my staff. I'll make sure that's on. I think what I really should do is kind of talk about, some of the trends that are going on right now as far as the market, interest rates going up. And sure, Vincent, my pleasure. Some of the how it's going to impact you as an investor, how it's going to impact you as an owner operator. and we can talk about that. If anybody has any markets that they want me to take a look at, I will do that for you. I'll show you how we evaluate markets. But that's really it. Hey, folks, if you like this stuff, make sure you sign up for some of my teachings. I do a Saturday morning vlog, similar to this, about 3 minutes, that my staff takes some of my content throughout the course of the week and turns it into a 3-minute vlog. That's always every Saturday morning. I got a whole bunch of stuff. And also I got conferences coming up that we're going to be doing, and they're going to be a pretty nice stuff. But really my focus is on teaching you how to build a business of multifamily real estate, not how to just acquire a property. Anybody can teach you that. This is business is a business. This is what's going to help you create the legacy that you turn over to your kids, not just a property. And that's what I teach. That's the whole focus of the Multifamily OS system. So good. Yeah, Chan will be good. And Chan, when people meet me live, they always say the same thing, and it drives me crazy. When they meet me and they walk up to me, they say, "Wow, I didn't know you were so tall." How tall do you think I am on Zoom, or in StreamYard? Jeez. All right, everybody. Hey, listen, this was a great hour, a lot of fun. I'll see you next week. And we'll talk some more about markets. That'll be a lot of fun. Thanks, everybody. Great to see you all. We'll chat soon.